So guys, nice to see you again. I hope that you enjoyed the previous lecture, and I hope that this will be even more useful. Unfortunately, I'm very limited on the way of being speaking on this topic. Of course, you understand there are several NDA and things that are said and not said in this industry sometime, but okay, I'll trust that your intelligence can digest things. And later on, if you will need more help, you can always ask me. So it's this slide. Give me a second. Okay, look like my aura. Yeah. So listing for me has been one of the most challenging time of my life, to be honest. It was an insane amount of work. I even sometimes have goosebumps if I just start to think about it. I was so stressed. I started to lose hair here. Even my CTO was losing hair on the head, the back of the head. It was a very, very stressful time. Especially for us was also complicated because of the launch that we did was on a cross-chain token. So this complicated a lot, also like the technical part. But I'll go a little bit back, right? For those who were in the previous lecture, a little bit remember the history of folks. And so for us, when we went live on mainnet, many projects just launched the token. It was never a priority. For us, a priority was to launch the product, make it profitable, be successful, and later on empower it with the token, right? So many may disagree with me. I think that what we did in the previous years was very helpful in the negotiation that later I had to do with the exchange. So my suggestion is to put the exchange listing like your graduation. It's like you did the round, you launched the product, you maybe scale it with another round, the product is solid, your cap table is solid, your community is solid, then you can approach the listing. Look, if you are very good and maybe you have some support, you may skip some step, okay? But the listing nowadays is very, very reliant on the exchange that you get. We'll talk about it. Before, it was a bit different. Like you may have launched on DeFi. There was a lot of buying pressure on DEX. Right now, it's not anymore as the old times, then happy old times. And you, in my opinion, you strongly need to rely on exchange users and liquidity if you want your token to be traded. Now, first thing, most of us, and I think this is also one of the things that Alex said to me as first time we worked together, we are not traders, we are builders, and we don't understand what's behind having a token traded. And I think that's a thing that I had hardly to learn in the process. It took for me the listing almost 1 year with the preparation. It started with preparing into the hype around the project in different communities, which are not just your users. Obviously, your users are already hyped about what you are doing. So we did like a first OKX wallet campaign. That was good. It brought us a lot of inbound. We have been growing the socials for. We passed it in less than 1 year from 20,000 to over 100,000. Also, community were growing. Like my team was pushing so hard in a lot of different ways. Now later you will have the marketing experts telling you how to do this, but you have to think of like your TGE is like a rocket launch. If you don't have a lot of fuel, if you don't have everything in peace, it's not gonna skyrocket. It's most of the TGE right after launch they sink, if you look at the stats. So if you, and I think also it's very important, and for whatever we did, I think we succeeded in giving this like rocket propeller to the token and the hype. And it's always a reference. If your token launch is going well, even in few years, if it doesn't go well, like you will be always referenced as a project that reached a token that reached this valuation. So this is extremely important. And I like to think out of it like, like the valuation is like a building. This building is made of different floors, okay? And the higher you go, the higher is the chance that this building is shaking a bit, right? So you want to have very solid base and then scale those floors up one by one. And it means increasing the valuation. Now, those solid bases for a token, in my opinion, is first of all a good product, a good team, good investors. It's the investors are, I don't know if it's a good thing or a sad thing, but the exchange are gonna value your investor's name a lot. You have the community, of course, very important. Not only the project community, but the trader community. Because once the token goes live, you want people to buy and sell it to create volumes and obviously buying pressure. And then there is obviously also the exchange. This is another floor building. The stronger exchange you have, and the better are those floors. Obviously, all of those comes with a ROI, right? Like if you are paying $10 million even for the strongest exchange, maybe it's not worth it, right? So you have always to balance this. And personally, going into this TGE, I didn't know anything. Alex knows. I was asking, like, what do you think? What's the right value for this? I was trying to get from people around me as much knowledge as possible. And I think that was a very good thing that I've done. And meanwhile, my team building the marketing and everything was planned, the technical team preparing the launch and so on. So yeah, this was a bit of combination of these pillars that I was telling you, like that we're able to build like the folks' success in that sense. I'll stop here for a second. Is there any question? Okay, cool. Another very important thing is negotiation. Now, negotiation is important in any type of deal, but we need to understand here how exchange works. So for an exchange, you are one of hundreds, if not thousands, for certain exchange token that they're going to launch every year. So you are a number, and those that share FUD around the exchange because they ask too much money, I think they're just not able to negotiate. There is a fair price for each of those, and sometimes it's also about, exchange share the same audience. If you are having an exchange, I'm trying to avoid as many names as possible here, and there is a similar exchange, maybe you don't need to have them both because the users are shared most of the time, are the same. So you need to think very, very smartly how to combine those and what budget you are allocating in order to make it a successful launch. Otherwise, like if you are cutting volume between the venues, and it's not smart. You would rather have a consolidated single volume rather than splitting it the same volume into 10 venues. So I think we can describe the category of the exchange a bit later, but in general, the negotiation is very important. And the way you build this negotiation is leveraging all those things that I mentioned to you before. So I started to negotiate with exchange like way before I had a TG date. Like they knew me, I get to meet them. I flew all over the world to meet them because, again, remember this, they list thousands of projects. How many of those they actually really meet? So in my opinion, having a personal conversation with the listing manager, it is very important for having later a good negotiation. The person knows you. You are 1% probably of the project that actually went and meet him or she. So I think that is very, very valuable. And negotiate as much as you can. Even if someone tell you this is a fair price, try to go lower. Why not? I was able to do that. And then negotiating skills. Exchange cares mainly about two things. So if you are a pre-TG project, it's about how many users so you're going to bring to them and how many, like they can't forecast the volumes before your TG, but they can imagine the users by looking at your communities, your who's farming your airdrops and so on. So you can consider this as a valuable metric. Then there is the quality of the team, the quality of the investors, but this is, they are going to be taken as an assumption, and it puts you in some category. But through the negotiation, I was keeping them updated about everything that was going about Fox. Today we did a partnership with XYZ. Today we reached the new all-time high in TeamVL. Different things that show them that you are growing, that your project is good, that is hyping. It helps to strengthen this negotiation. And I strongly, I'm not advised to do a TG in a rush. Take time. It must be done well. Also, so the negotiation is as it is. Then it's about your negotiation skills. You need to be smart. But yeah, also exchange, sometimes they care about the fact that they may ask you to choose them and not their competitor. I know several exchange, they do that. So if they have so imagine exchange within categories, right? So if they are in the same category, then if you tell exchange X, I got a proposal from exchange Y, and exchange X may tell you, okay, I reduce your price, but you will not take care of, you will not list also on exchange Y. This is just negotiation. It's fair enough. So yes, this helped me a lot in this process. And I think also next topic, it's important for you to understand what I mean also with exchange category, especially based on location. For example, like there are the Korean exchange who are extremely important. I personally wasn't able so far to reach any listing in Korean exchange. They're very tough, and they require a lot of local presence, local communities, and it cannot be like you prepare it 2 weeks before. You go to Korea and you show that you did the big event. No, it's not going to be enough. And however, Korean volumes are very good, are very organic. Some exchange, they fake their volumes. It's quite known. But Korean is extremely diligent, and you do want a target to be listed in Korean exchange, possibly. Then there are exchange who are very well branded as a name, but maybe they don't have huge volumes. And then there are the big exchange who are good name and good volume is considered like the tier 1. And then you have the lower exchange, which they can be better than another for several reasons, but most of the time they overlap. So I think an ideal listing, in my opinion, would be a strong Korean exchange, a strong tier 1, and maybe one tier 2 just to cover different segments. And if you do that, a lot of other exchanges are going to list you for free. Yeah. And obviously you can always use the highest rank to negotiate the lowest. And another thing you need to understand is there is a lot of volumes nowadays and price volatility driven from perps. Personally, I had a very little experience in perpetual trading before in my past. And then I got to understand this. And this is my view after a TG of what I start to understand. Before, in the previous cycle, it was very possible, to buy a meme coin and make a 100x. And nowadays, with the TGE, this is very, very rare. And the way like traders are they like the risk and they like to make the big profit with the little amount, so they love perps, and that's their way to make 100x very quickly and in a very fast way, like and with little budget. So yes, I think that you need to switch of thinking of launching your token and thinking of it as an investment from investors, because investors usually invest and want to stay long term. Traders, they enter, they put 100x multiplier on your token, and in 5 minutes they want to make their 10x. That's usually the way traders do. And you need to understand it. And once you can understand this, you can also bring it to your favor, right? Like you can understand, okay, I need this exchange because they have good perps volume, and maybe I need this other exchange because it has the good brand, this other exchange because has good spot volume. Yeah, and by combining those, I think you have the secret recipe. So I'm sorry I'm not sharing names, but it's a bit sensitive topics. I rarely expose myself on what I think about this. Any questions so far?
I have just one. So a lot of exchanges, like Binance, for example, is notorious at this. They will offer to list you on perps first and then on spot. Would you say that's generally a bad idea? Because it opens, yeah.
I think it's a good idea if you can, in general, any exchange is a good idea to have that if you are going to be able to use that in your strategy. Volumes are on the perps. So if you create a bullish sentiment and everyone is longing you 10x, it's like it's a huge buying power. I don't know if you are aware of, for example, how price is calculated in the perps. You have depends on the listing, but let's say you can open any token on any perps and you will have an index, and this tells you that the price is calculated between an average price of different spots plus the perp. So this is like the weight of each of these voices averaged. Maybe it's 25, 25, 25 in 4 voices. And but if, let's say, if your perp price is spiking up 10x more than all the spot, your price is going up, because even if it's just 25%, but it's 10 times higher than the other 75, so it just goes faster up. I didn't know any of this before, but I had to learn a lot. But yeah, it's very fascinating.
Yeah,
I think it's different proposal can be good. Like people don't like and they FUD a lot the listing on the wallet part of the different exchange. Even that, I don't think it's bad. So I'll speak for myself, just on the personal experience. Like we were doing great volume on Pancake through Binance Alpha as well. So I can't complain about that. But some people had very bad experience. I think it depends a lot on how you structure all the strategy. There isn't there isn't a single thing that makes the DG successful. It's not existing. It's impossible that someone tell you, oh, like you get this exchange and you will be pumping. No, because it's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you.
Well, guys, this is a bit of all the journey, really. Like, I can think of other stuff, but I need your questions to get my creativity ongoing.
Do you think that listing on a centralized exchange is very necessary, considering that a lot of projects now are more Web 2 focused, so they abstract that crypto away? When it comes to trading their tokens, people can do it very quickly on the application, and it gets funneled through DEXs anyway. So is centralized exchanges now still as important?
So look, I'm a DeFi builder. I hate to give you this answer, but nowadays, yes. And I wish it would be the contrary. But, I think we're still very far to compete to the audience of centralized exchange. I mean, we are building for it. Like, we are all here for that. But I think when we are doing, we work for the success of the company. So if something even goes a bit against my own product, which is like, like if I would need to say Fox Finance is a DeFi protocol, I should launch obviously in the ecosystem partner that is a DEX, right? And I will say I don't want to funnel users and traders to CEXs, but what is the thing that I care the most is the success of the product, right? So I sadly need to say yes. Nowadays it is like this. Maybe in 1 year it will change. It's possible. There were times where launch on DEXs were amazing, a huge liquidity. You will see like, a huge appreciation from communities and traders. It went down slowly. I think that's the last big hype that we have seen in this way. It was Trump token, and then it changed.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess one other thing that I think would be quite interesting is, what are the typical kind of offers, I suppose, that you receive from exchanges? So you don't obviously have to say the exchange, but is there like a specific percentage of tokens, specific vestings? Like, what's the general?
Yeah. So generally speaking, listing fees should be forbidden, but they are asked. Depends on where the exchange is regulated, like where they have where they are based. The most of the time, what you've been asked is marketing tokens. Sometimes they are good, honestly. Like, I've done some campaign that was pretty good. Like, we have seen very good organic volume, like even bringing you new user in some case. So yes, that's the thing. Some exchange ask security deposit, and I understand also this, to be honest, because there are so many projects dragging. Again, look, my perspective on this is that exchange are not evil. Exchange just see 1,000 projects per year, or whatever, 1,000, I say a number, right? And the largest part of this is just, I don't want to say scam, but probably there is nothing behind. It's so many projects just, dump everything on day one, and they have to protect themselves as well. Like, and nowadays they're getting more and more and more restrictive. I know that the exchange now are very, very careful on avoiding that there is rugs. But they ask for tokens. Sometimes you can pay stablecoin directly. Some exchanges don't ask anything. They are fully free. And usually those are the good one, because they don't need to have your token to create marketing. That's what they ask. It's not that complicated. It's more complicated, honestly, to choose when you have to give marketing budget between their services, because if you're not one of the users, you're not really understanding what is the difference between one, I don't know, staking campaign or trading competition. Yeah, even there, I remember I told my team, like, guys, you go on this exchange and you try all of those things and you tell me which one you think it's better to use the budget. But yeah.
And is there, on that note, are there any specific kind of marketing campaigns that you think were quite good? Yeah.
The trading campaigns that we did was good. Then there are different targeted campaign, and it depends. Yeah, but in the preparation of the TG, like you may do some airdrop campaign, all of those things, like usually have an ROI. Like you have to be diligent, and not just choose blindly. It's stuff.
Okay, no, noted. I do have one other question that I think is quite potentially a deep topic, but we advise a lot of our clients to consider launching the token on DEXs. If they don't have, a lot of users, they don't have a lot of traction, just launch the token on a DEX rather than trying to fundraise to pay Binance listing fees or whatever. So launch on the DEX, get the volume, get the users, grow the company. In a year, when you have a lot of volume, users, wallets organically, and your market cap has risen to $50 million organically, then Binance will list you for free because they just want your project, your token.
I don't know if they will list you for free, but it is a good idea if you are able to execute it. But it's tough. Like secondary listing are way harder than pre-TG.
Oh, really?
I actually forgot to say why this is different. So before TG, you are valued based on mainly like how many users you can bring to the exchange. That's my opinion, right? No one ever said me and confirmed me this. But after TG, they have metrics, which if you fake them, they are also pretty obvious and they can check it easily. So getting to be interesting for a listing secondary market, it's way more tough. Also because the momentum that you have at TG, it has been already taken somewhere else. So even for me, like right now, I'm still trying to do some listing. The requirements are way higher. Like some of those are nonsense, really, like totally fucked up. But like when I see that something is not worth, I just say, no, sorry, it's fine. It's not that you're gonna die if you don't have a centralized exchange specifically, but you have to have your target and you want to say, okay, I need these. Even if you launch on a DEX, then you have to work to get there. Yeah. But it's gonna be more tough. But it's possible. Like there were projects who did that. And if you don't have the budget to launch on a centralized exchange, definitely. Yeah. But if you don't have the budget, but you have the potential for a good launch, there are a lot of people that are willing to pay for it.
And on that note, in terms of paying for exchanges, the tier ones, of course, like Binance, OKX, Bybit, they charge a lot more money than something like the next tier of exchanges like MEXC, BitGet, Crypto.com, etc. Would you say that the gap in pricing is valid, based on your experience? Like, is it worth paying Binance literally 100 times more than MEXC?
Okay, it's difficult to say with the names. Okay, let's put it this way.
Ignore the names. Yeah,
there are exchanges who are not worth being paid.
Yeah,
and they will front run you even if you don't pay them. Actually, they will tell you, if you're not gonna pay us, we will front run you and we will list you on the pre-market. Whatever, do whatever you want. That's criminal. Okay, fine. Let's just bring you some marketing. I can say that. I think I can say this. I think Binance is very professional. Like I really love to work with the Binance team. I know some of them personally, and they are in my opinion, the most hardworking team in the exchanges. And sometimes I feel like that they work 24/7. I don't know, but they're very, very professional. And well, when you are saying asking money, the tier one exchange, most of the time they ask tokens, but of course you can convert this into a value, right? Dollar value. I think there is an ROI. As I said, there isn't a single answer, but if you do the right calculation, and even a lot of market maker will tell you this, there is a need that you need to have, like, for having a good exchange listing combination. Like, now I won't be able to say which one is this basic need, but yes, let's say you have a combination of 1, 2, 3, and you are paying max this amount, then it's good. There is a return on investment on it, and you can see, I think this is visible, there is a lot of the project who tend to launch with a lot of, let's say, they want to have all the checks, maybe not on the one, but they slowly just go down because their expense on the listing was higher than what it was worth. And as I said, most of those exchange overlap their user base.
And on you also mentioned that. Would you say, just to kind of follow on what you said about market makers as well, would you say that it's useful to speak to the market makers to ask for their opinions on depth, liquidity, volumes on exchanges?
I'm a market maker, but yeah, okay, this is gonna get me a little bit in trouble, but I'll say it.
I can cut it out from the recording.
Yeah, it's okay. The market maker who are seeing them sponsoring the huge parties and the events and so ever, they're doing it with your own money. Okay, so I think that this branding around, if some market maker is good, it doesn't really need branding, because if someone comes to me and I want to refer the good market maker, I'll just do it out of pleasure. Like, the good market maker, they don't want even you spamming their name, because they work not with many clients, and they will select just the good one. That's it. It's if a market maker is working with 10,000 projects, and there are market makers really working with so many projects, you are just a number on an algorithm running on a desk, and then there is a report automatically produced that the salesperson send you every whatever. You want to have a personal relationship with a market maker, and someone can challenge me to say this, but unless you are a big project who is the market maker is really involved in it, the big brand are not needed for personally for a project like Volks. It's not really needed. You'd rather have the small one who is taking care of you seriously.
And because I know, for example, that Coinbase needs loan options when it comes to, if you want to list on Coinbase, your market maker needs, like, your token needs to be market made with loan options, and I believe that's the case for American exchanges as well.
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't listed on Coinbase, but I would think that it's weird, because usually exchange likes the passive market maker deal, because it means that the project has enough money to provide both sides of the order.
Just to jump in here, what I was told, and this was actually by someone you worked with, they basically said that in America, the idea of paying for a market maker with a fiat fee is on the verge of being illegal, because it's like you can't pay someone to market make for you. And it's more favorable, well, it's more like regulatorily clear to like allow people to make a profit off trading your tokens rather than actually being paid to market make. I've only heard this from one source.
For the market maker, not for the exchange, though.
Yeah,
theoretically, we put it this way, and we had time where no market maker was trading, and you will still see volume. If your token is highly traded, you don't need a market maker. And it's has been a lot of time where exchange just list project without asking them to be listed. So if there is enough organic volume, the exchange is going to list you. As this is the example Alex was suggesting. Let's say you list on DeFi, there's great volumes, your token is appreciated. Exchange are going to list you, and you don't need to even talk to them. Therefore, you are not having your market maker providing orders there. Also because it's expensive. Like every exchange you add is an expense.
Mm.
I don't know, it's weird. For my knowledge also about this, the market maker who say we always need a loan model because legally blah blah blah, sometimes it's because they don't have, I'm not sure about this, right? I'm not a lawyer, but from my experience, I was told from a legal perspective that they don't have the license to do the right market making way. Therefore, they ask for this loan.
Okay.
Interesting. On a slightly different topic, I have a question that I think might be quite interesting to a lot of people that are listening. You mentioned that the Binance team is very, very professional, very good. And obviously before you also said that it's very important to get into contact with the listing managers. How did you get in contact with the Binance listing manager?
And guys, this is your own
Yeah.
work, like I knew, obviously I try to leverage every contact I have, for the listing, I was asking help from anyone. And I also meet some of them in the conferences. Like, I did several times just meeting new listing managers. So for me, networking is an extremely important part of my role. I'm always around conferences, making friends and people that can help in general. So when it's time to leverage those, I do.
Okay, fair. Nice. All right, then.
But people are always willing to make the intro, honestly. If a good project comes to me, I will be happy to introduce to any listing manager that I have. Like, the listing manager appreciate that. And I don't get any referral. Like, it's just for me having a good relationship.
Yeah, that is true, to be fair. I guess a lot of these deal flow guys, they appreciate good quality deal flow.
You just reminded me of something. In the listing, actually most of the time, once you're being assigned a listing manager, you cannot change it. So if you get the bad one, you will stick with the bad one. So very, very important who you're getting as a listing manager. Very important. You can change a lot.
Is there a way that if you get, let's say you meet one listing manager, you start talking to them before you're planning TGE just to build a relationship, but then you meet another one at an exchange much closer to TGE and you want to really work with that one, is that still going to be impossible to change?
Once you submit the form, you can change. Yeah, that's usually the process. Look, there was one that was very bad with me, never answering. I think I got him fired because I just, through a friend, there was a big market maker, texted in the chat with the CEO and said the guy is never replying to folks. They did a good TG and you missed it. And suddenly this guy was just disappearing, and I was contacted by another one. So yeah, it's sometimes you will be surprised. Like, I don't know why they do that, but even big exchange, you meet the listing manager, they just graduated and they're just their first job. I'm like, what the hell? But I think they want that to avoid also bribing, because the more someone is into the industry and the more it might be potentially doing that. So I think sometimes having someone fresh that has never been on a conference and is, a listing manager is just doing a DD over your project, right? So if he has a bit of knowledge and is skilled, he can do a DD, and then the criteria are similar for all the listing.
Yeah.
Usually the first proposal you receive is a copy paste from anyone.
Yeah, like the standard kind of company proposal. Yeah.
I've had experience where, I spend hours with my team, if not days, filing a 20 pages DD form, and you submit, and after 1 hour you have the proposal, and I'm like, it's impossible. She even had a look at it in this 30 minutes. So it's a joke sometimes, but it is what it is. You have to do it.
Yeah. Okay. And I have now. Well, actually, does anyone else have any questions kind of on these topics of listing managers? Because I have one final set of questions about the tokenomics side of things. So I'll let anyone. No, okay, no one's meeting. Yeah. So on the tokenomics front, did you notice a specific pattern about the tokenomic structure, maybe valuations, vesting schedules, when it came to listing on the exchanges?
Yes. And some exchange also ask you to fit their to change your tokenomics to fit their standard. Like unlocks are being more and more postponed. Without saying name, I know now some exchange even ask you to put your token in a multi-sig with them, because honestly, I understand this. Like, there were so many rags, and an exchange need to protect their users. It's understandable. So if this is the industry we live, where like 70% of the project is doing a TG just to rag, that's what the exchange is gonna do to everyone to avoid this. Because as I said, it doesn't matter who you are one of hundreds. So they have no time to treat you specially in a special way.
So I know that some exchanges, they push the TG unlocks from 5, 10%, whatever, down to 0. The clips normally get extended. Do they normally do that so that their kind of marketing campaigns, like alpha programs, whatever, that normally last up to a month, so that those campaigns can run without any additional sell pressure? Or do they do that even longer?
Protect their users, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But in my experience, like, the token given to the exchange for the marketing campaign, they weren't bad spent. Like, it was effective. Like, I would see holders growing, users growing. Like, people, I still see, like I told you, like, there was no market makers for some point, and the token was trading nice. So, if you do things well, I think that's the exchange are a good thing.
I had one other question, kind of final one from my side, but I did forget it. Oh yes. Just overall, then, would you say that for you there was a net benefit from listing on exchanges? And just to clarify, so for example, you said the marketing spend in tokens. There's a lot of preconceived ideas that you give these tokens to the exchange, they give it to the users then instantly dump. So you have that initial influx and then they all go away. Is that the case, or it depends on the
It's not true, to be honest. Like, I've seen this. Not everyone instantly dumps.
Okay.
Not everyone. Yeah, it depends. I think it depends how many tokens they get. So that's why it's important, the negotiation. It depends on the way they are receiving it. So it depends if there is a trading campaign ongoing with you, so they can maybe sell and buy back to make volume. Especially some of the exchange, they have a very good gamification for their traders. So you do want to understand that to leverage it. And it's all about ROI, everything. So yes, like there is obviously bad amounts that you shouldn't give, otherwise it's a death sentence for whoever you are. And then there are good amounts that are valid, and it's worth doing that. And it's all proportional on the exchange that you are listing in.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the proportionality. Okay, then I guess from my side that covers everything about exchanges. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions, but if not, then as per usual, thank you very much, Ben, again for all the insights. I appreciate this was a tougher lecture because of the NDAs.
I need to think what I'm saying before I can be of
but but no, it was very useful, and I think at least for me, the main point is the listing managers and meeting them and being friends with them so that they know you personally rather than just being a number on the screen. I mean, that's very interesting and very valid. Well, yeah, in that case, thank you very much as per usual. I'll send you the recording and some clips next week. And if anyone else wants introductions to Ben's in the chat, and of course, happy to.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, some of you guys, these 2 weeks I was traveling and I wasn't answering so much. But if I haven't answered, just ping me. I will do.
Perfect, amazing. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers, Ben.
Evening. Bye.
Thank you. Cheers. Have a great rest of your day, Ben.